Hey everyone, my name is Charlie and today I'm going to be talking about my second week of events for Indisputably Doris. So, you've already had one video about what went on during the first week of Indisputably Doris and how we hadn't necessarily had the best turnout, but we had been getting good responses and interaction between myself and audience members. This week began with me heading off to Congleton Library. Now my nan lives in Congleton, so I had lunch at hers first. She fancied McDonald's, so you know this diet's going really well for me. And so we had lunch, and then I embarked upon the walk to Congleton Library. This time I got to drive myself, so I still had to hoof it all the way with the Dorises on my back, but I didn't have to do it on a bus this time. I last went to Congleton earlier this year as part of an author panel with Margaret Holbrook and Joy Winkler, and this time I got quite a few returnees, which was nice because a few people had read the book, a few people had come to hear me read before, and it was nice to see that people responded well to the first book, because you never know how people are going to take the second book. Like I say, I'm feeling better about it knowing that people are actually liking this book as well as me now. I went to Congleton, we had tea, we had cake, I had a lot of water because I get very dry mouthed reading this book. And then I got to see one of my former volunteers, Lily, from when I worked in Congleton. And it was nice to catch up with people, it was nice to share the book, and it was great to get some laughs, because you never know if you're going to get any laughs. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get shouted at by vegans, even though you haven't got a problem with vegans. They just don't like you. Next, I went to Holmes Chapel Library for their book discussion group on Tuesday. I've been to Holmes Chapel before, and last time we sat down, I barely had to read. I think I read for a total of 5 minutes, and the entire rest of the time was spent discussing my writing, the book, having cups of tea, really enjoying ourselves. This time it was a bit different in that whilst I still read and we discussed my book and my writing, we also had the actual normal book discussion group. So I got to talk about some of the books that I'd read, they talked about some of the books that they'd read, and it was an all-round nice time. And then Wednesday came around. Wednesday. I was going to be launching, well, I launched the book on Thursday, and all along I kept talking about the fact that I was going to make cakes myself. And so I made cakes. I made 4 cakes. I spent the entire Wednesday in the kitchen. I made a vanilla sponge, a St. Clement's cake, a chocolate cake recipe from Joanne Harris's cookbook, and I then jibbed out and used a box where you just add oil, water and eggs and hope for the best for a carrot cake. Wednesday night I went to Margaret Holbrook's open mic night at Chapel on the Frith, which was my second thing at night this week. Monday I had gone to Margaret's launch for her latest poetry collection, Not Exactly Life, which I mentioned in a few videos now. And so this time I'm reading from Indisputably Doris. I get to see some other people because of overtime, I haven't been able to go to the open mic that much this year, and so I felt a bit terrible just showing up with my new book like, I wrote something else and I'm hoping you'll buy it. But people seemed to enjoy it, and that was nice. And I also got to drink a pint of bitter and didn't have to drive because my mother drove, so that was nice. And then we had Thursday, the launch. My good friend Lindsay is currently in the country from Berlin, so I got to see her, and we went for lunch, and we didn't really go to the nicest cafe in Macclesfield, so I'm very apologetic, Lindsay. We will go somewhere better next time. So, Lindsay edited the first book for me, and unfortunately wasn't able to continue with the second book, but Joy did for me. So both of them were at the launch. I had Joy and Lindsay at different times of the day carrying a bag full of cakes. IKEA bag, very good, very heavy. I had 70 books in a box and on my back, and so that wasn't the best experience, I can tell you. And we launched the book during the Macclesfield Creative Writing Group session, where it was, to be fair, a lot of members from the Creative Writing Group, but it was nice. We had cake, we had tea, we had coffee. I told somebody off for clipping his nails during my reading. I am sorry, just don't interrupt me go to a chiropodist. Don't be doing that during my reading. Not having it. And then we went, me, Joy and Jill went, who you haven't met before, but she'd made a very nice photo that you'll see as the header for this channel, I believe. Went for coffee at Cherry Blossom Bakery in Macclesfield, who are also being kind enough to sell a few copies of the book for me, which is nice because we're struggling to get her into bookshops at the moment. And then I hot-footed it over to Poynton for another of Margaret Holbrook's events for National Poetry Day, and this time I read a poem entitled Lambs that I may recite on here at some point, which is about an experience I had in 2007 when I was helping my father to lamb his sheep, and it's all about a prolapsed sheep, and you can understand where we're going with this. Anyway, so I hot-footed it over to Poynton Library, where I had another event, and then I came home. And I am not going to lie, I was shattered. That was the last event of the week, and I was absolutely, my strength was depleted. I was gone. I don't do late nights. I don't do nights. That's not me. If an event is happening after 9 o'clock, there's a chance I'm going to be asleep. Because I'm a grandfather in my driving, I'm a grandfather in everything else I do. You know me. I'm an old man trapped in this very handsome young man's body. And so, I overslept. I leave the house at 20 to 8 to get to work because traffic's that bad, and I work 20 minutes away, but it can take anything up to 45 minutes. And so, I really rushed to get ready, got downstairs, shouted at everyone for not waking me up, didn't get a chance to drink my cup of tea, and went to work. And you know, I was still shattered when I came home. I was in bed by 10. I slept like a log. And then, you know, this is just the way life has gone at the moment. And now, I was going to list all the events that I've got left for Doris in the month of October. I know that you really want to hear about all of those. Next, on Thursday, I will be at Nantwich Library at 5:30, and I will be reading from Indisputably Doris, Our Doris, and all round just sharing tales of this world. Then, for National Libraries Week, we're having a bit of a tour. We're going all around the area. So on the 9th of October, which is a Monday, I will be at Barnton Library at 6 p.m. and again, reading, discussing Indisputably Doris. I believe there's going to be some sort of question and answer session where the librarian is going to field questions for me, and that sounds like it's going to be great. Then I will be at Edgeley Library at 2 o'clock on the 10th of October. That's the Tuesday. And the same sort of thing, reading and question and answer. On the 11th we have two events. At 2 o'clock I will be at Altrincham Library, and then at 7 o'clock I will be at Leeds Library in Saddleworth, and both of these are publicising both books. And then finally, myself, Joy Winkler and Margaret Holbrook will be having an author panel at Chawton Library. Refreshments will be served, and that's from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. We're going to be reading from our books, discussing the writing process, and really going in depth about our creativity. Anyway, alongside this, I should say whether I've done any writing this month, because, you know, that's the whole reason we're here. Have you been writing, Charlie? No. I don't know whether I'm in some sort of writing slump or some sort of reading slump. I don't know whether it's just because I'm working still on these books and it's difficult to navigate all of this stuff in my head, but we will see. I know what's going to happen in the third book, I know where everything goes, and I know how the book ends, and I think that's half the battle. Have you read Our Doris or Indisputably Doris? My northern comedies featuring Mrs. Doris Copeland. If so, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're able to come to any of the events, do let me know, because it's always nice to know if somebody's going to be there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.